What's up, YouTube? On this episode of Coddiwomple Overland, we're going to continue our exploration of the Monongahela. Coddiwomple Overland is brought to you in part by Overland Vehicle Systems, One Stop Overland, and Faster Freight. The morning of day 4, we woke up to temperatures a little bit cooler than it had been on the previous days, so it didn't take us long to get camp packed back up and get on the road. It was looking like the weather wasn't going to be sure what it was going to do today, whether it was going to rain or the sun was going to shine, but we were sure hoping that it was going to clear up by the time we got to our next scheduled stop, and that's Seneca Rocks. Seneca Rocks is one of the most iconic natural formations in West Virginia. Geologists say that it was caused by a gigantic upward bulge formed more than 200 million years ago. The iconic rock formation stands over 900 feet above Seneca Creek. These rocks were very useful to our military in 1943 and 1944, as they were the site of the assault climbing training for the West Virginia Maneuver Area 10th Mountain Division. These rocks have been attracting people for thousands of years. While they were building the latest visitor center, they did an archaeological dig and actually found evidence of 2 ancient Native American tribes that were living here. The most recent one was 700 years ago. While you're here checking out the rocks, you got to check out the old country store at the intersection. After that, it was back on the old gravel roads and enjoying some of these amazing old farms. As we continued to make our way through these amazing mountains, we set our sights on a new destination. At this point, we were on our way to see Dolly Sods. Dolly Sods is a very unique place. It's the highest plateau east of the Mississippi River, with much of it being above 4,000 feet in elevation. A unique ecosystem, much like Canada. It was also used by the military during World War II as a training site. We made it to the top of the mountain, to the entrance of Dolly Sods, only to find it locked. After we got back down off the mountain from Dolly Sods, we decided to start meandering our way back south. We were planning on going back home tomorrow. This is when we decided to check out Smoke Hole Canyon. The Smoke Hole Canyon is a 20-mile long and half-mile deep canyon where the Potomac River is squeezed by the North and Cave Mountains. We made our way past Eagle Rock and then ultimately into a little town called Upper Tract. It was truly like stepping back 30 years in time. Next, we found ourselves in some absolutely amazing and historic farm country and grazing lands. I think it was very similar to what you might see out west. It wasn't long before we found ourselves in the George Washington National Forest. This was a beautiful area, and it did have some dispersed campsites, but we had found a location on Overlander that we really wanted to try to get to. It looked like by road it was going to take us till near dark to get to our campsite, so I decided to find a shortcut. I found a Forest Service road that looked like it was almost a direct route to where we wanted to camp. It was sure to have us there well before dark and set up early. How about finding primitive lean-tos in the same area where they allegedly filmed The Hills Have Eyes? Things were growing great. We were sure to get to camp early and have a little extra time to just enjoy the view. And then,
we're gonna have to find a site over there.
well, then the road that was open all year to everything up to and including buses turned into this. Don't get me wrong, we were not complaining at all. Just wasn't quite expected. Threw our timeline off a little bit, but it was definitely well worth it.
I'm glad we had that extra.
What we found out later was this was Dunkle Hollow, and we had stumbled on one of the most popular four-wheel drive roads in the area. This trail wasn't too terribly difficult, but it was a lot of fun, and you definitely had to have some high clearance to get through it. The name of this is Skidmore Road. The trail is open all year round, and it's open to buses and passenger cars, motorhomes, and large trucks. I figured this was going to be just another gravel road. It was a lot more than a gravel road. It turned out to be one of the best trails that we had found for the trip. This trail also gave us the chance to check the off-road ability of our new sway bar. Yeah, that right there, you could.
Yeah, it's huge difference in the sway. I didn't feel like I was falling off the cliff.
We made it to the top of the mountain and turned left, only to find that the trail was going to get even better before we made it to camp.
Yeah.
We made our way to set up camp at Meadow Knob. This last night was just kind of an add-on, so we just fixed sandwiches over the grill and huddled around by the fire. It was definitely colder up here and a lot more windy, but the view made it all worth it.
This works. Because I don't know how many shots I have of you going around the corner to the right. They got an airport? Is that where those red lights are?
It's a tower. Waking up the next morning, the view was just as incredible. After a great breakfast with apple turnovers in the Coleman oven on the Genesis grill, we decided to hit the road. This was going to be our last day. As we had left Meadow Knob and made our way towards Flagpole Knob along the ridge, this was definitely our most favorite part of the whole trip. There were definitely several sections of rock and washed out areas like this to really test the legs on your rig. The trail made its way from dirt back into gravel as we gradually made our way away from Flagpole Knob, and then it turned into blacktop as we made our way off the mountain. After a very short piece of blacktop, we made our way onto a Forest Service road known as Stony Run. We would continue this until our next section of blacktop. And this would ultimately be our last section of off-road for the trip.
But there's tons of loops off of this right beside what we're traveling that look pretty neat on the map.
We ran across some more forestry employees. These guys were getting ready to do a controlled burn. These controlled or prescribed burns actually help the forest because it weeds out a lot of the underbrush and lets some of the bigger trees or the older trees continue to grow and flourish. And we almost made it a whole trip without having to break out the DeWalt and cut a tree out of the way. This happened to be within the last mile of our dirt road. This trip was a lot of fun. It offered a whole lot more than just trails. It even offered incredible scenic beauty and a lot of history. This is definitely a place that we're going to come back and do a lot more exploring. Thanks again for watching Coddiwomple Overland. Remember, let us know what you thought in the comments below. And like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, see ya.